The 2017 Mercedes-Maybach G650 Landaulet. Leave it to Mercedes-Maybach to come up with something like this. Ostentatious doesn't even begin to describe the marriage of excess off-road capability with luxury. Meet the Mercedes-Maybach G650 Landaulet. Think of it as a G-Wagon mixed with a Maybach S-Class. In fact, that's an extremely accurate description, seeing as the rear seats on this convertible beast are lifted from the Maybach S600. Oh, and its 6.0-liter V12 is present, too. Yes, extreme excess is the theme of this monster. It's basically built to accommodate 4 occupants, 2 in great comfort, and 2 in spectacular comfort. You can guess which seats provide what. The G650 Landaulet rides on a stretched wheelbase of the standard G500 4x4 with an extra 22.75 inches between the wheels. The extra length, combined with the rear captain's chairs placed nearly over the rear axle, creates a huge amount of legroom. It's enough space to fully recline the calf leather-covered seats. Of course, the G650 Landaulet doesn't lose any off-road capability from the G500 4x4. It comes with the same portal axles, underbody skid plating, 3 locking differentials, 4 WD high and low ranges, and enough ground clearance to put a mil-spec Humvee to shame. The G650 Landaulet is motivated by the 630 horsepower and 737 pound-feet of torque pumped out by the 6.0-liter biturbo V12 and managed by Mercedes' 7-speed automatic transmission. Surprisingly, the G650 Landaulet manages double-digit fuel economy, with Mercedes estimating 13.8 mpg combined. Then again, anyone willing to write a 6-figure check for the G650 Landaulet isn't worried about fuel economy. Updated March 13, 2017, we added a series of new images taken during the car's official debut in Geneva. Check the Pictures tab to see how great this car looks in white. Continue reading about the 2017 Mercedes-Maybach G650 Landaulet. Exterior. Intimidating, UGE, the G650 Landaulet is certainly an exercise in opulence, even from the outside. This Mercedes-Maybach creation carries much of the aesthetics from the G500 4x4, which is a lifted version of the standard G-Wagon. Those familiar with Mercedes G-Wagon history will also know the G500 4x4 as the shorter version of the even more outrageous G63 Amg 6x6, the triple-axle truck Mercedes introduced for the 2015 model year. The G650 Landaulet takes that theme and morphs it into a 4-door convertible, similar to the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. Unlike the Wrangler Unlimited, the G650 Landaulet benefits from a power-operated top. There's no work involved with this convertible SUV. Sadly, the front row is confined under a fixed roof panel, making this a true Landaulet top. This Mercedes-Maybach creation carries much of the aesthetics from the G500 4x4, which is a lifted version of the standard G-Wagon. Time out for a history lesson. The Landaulet is a type of convertible top that covers only the rear passengers, while the front row is housed under a fixed roof, as it would in a standard sedan. Landaulet-equipped cars became a hot choice for public figures during the early 20th century and ended with the assassination of JFK. The Landaulet top is not to be confused with the Landau top, which is a tacky disgrace of form murdering function in cold blood before killing itself out of self-loathing. That self-loathing is generated out of the hideous nature that the Landau top became known for in American car culture during the 1970s and 80s. The Landau top is basically a padded, cloth covering fitted over the existing roof of a coupe or sedan. Prime examples include your grandfather's Lincoln Town Car, your aunt's Cadillac DeVille, both from the late 1990s. Today, no automaker even offers a Landau top option, though some aftermarket companies still keep this terrible fad from going extinct. Again, don't confuse the terrible Landau top for the terribly awesome Landaulet-equipped G650 from Mercedes-Maybach. The Landaulet is a type of convertible top that covers only the rear passengers, while the front row is housed under a fixed roof, as it would in a standard sedan. Beyond the top, the G650 Landaulet rides on a longer wheelbase than the standard G500 4x4. This likely gives it a better on-road feel, but also helps even out the proportions of the tall and stubby G500 4x4 squared. The G650 Landaulet comes equipped with power folding side steps, helping dignitaries look more dignified when entering the cabin. Ground clearance is listed at 17.7 inches, making it a rather hefty climb otherwise. Around back, the G650 Landaulet carries the same aesthetics as the G500 4x4 squared, at least from the beltline down. It even has the awkward chrome bumper hanging down. It's assumed the bumper helps guard against lesser vehicles from submarining under the G650's rear bumper. Then there's the full-size spare tire hanging behind the tailgate. A swing-away tire carrier supports its weight and allows the fold-down tailgate to operate independently. Mercedes-Maybach didn't skimp on the details, either. The G650 Landaulet sports those side pipes with dual tips on each side. Not only do they look cool, but fill the cabin with the wonderful sounds of twin-turbocharged V12 thunder. The fender flares are carbon fiber, as are the side moldings. The 325 55th series all-terrain tires dwarf massive 22-inch Amg style wheels. The wheels have the Landaulet badging etched into the flange for posterity, as well. And Mercedes sure didn't forget the V12 biturbo badge on the front fender, either. Interior. As interesting as the G650 Landaulet is from the outside, the best is reserved for those inside. The usual Maybach touches are all present, including quilted and two-tone leather with contrast stitching. There's carbon fiber trim throughout, and each switch and control is crafted from metal. The front seats offer much of the same experience as the G500 4x4 squared, only with nicer materials. The gauge cluster, center stack, and console are all familiar. There's not much news up here. It's a different story behind the B-pillars. The Mercedes-Maybach G650 Landaulet features a full partition between the front and rear seats. A solid plate of glass keeps the interior airy, even with the top in place. When privacy is wanted, a simple button push turns the clear glass opaque, creating privacy for those in back. This isn't the first time this technology has been used in a vehicle, but it's very likely a first for a production SUV. The usual Maybach touches are all present, including quilted and two-tone leather with contrast stitching. The pair enjoying the rear seat's amenities will find heated, cooled, and massaging seats, capable of reclining backward with a power-operated footrest. A heated and cooled cup holder, airline-style tray tables that fold front the center armrest, and two 10-inch touch screens that operate independently. It can go without saying the rear compartment enjoys its own HVAC controls and access to the premium audio system. Mercedes-Maybach also gives its customers plenty of choice when it comes to interior color. 4 trim colors are available, with 3 choices for the fabric Landaulet top. 4 exterior paint colors options are present, too. Drivetrain. What's opulent luxury without omnipotent power? Nothing. Thankfully Mercedes knew this going in, choosing to forego the 416 horsepower, 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 found in the G500 4x4 squared. Instead, the S600 Maybach's 6.0-liter biturbo V12 was shoehorned under the G-Wagon's hood. Mercedes knew it fit though, as the big engine is available in the Mercedes Amg G63. What's opulent luxury without omnipotent power? Nothing. Thankfully Mercedes knew this going in, choosing to forego the 416 horsepower, 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 found in the G500 4x4 squared. In this application, the twin-turbocharged V12 kicks out a whopping 630 horsepower and 737 pound-feet of torque. That mountainous power is routed through the G-Wagon's 7-speed automatic transmission and onto its full-time 4WD system with low range. At full tilt, the G650 Landaulet should hit 60 miles per hour in a few ticks over 5 seconds. That's darn impressive considering its size and unashamedly off-road biased running gear. Speaking of the running gear, the G650 Landaulet uses the same suspension and axles as the G500 4x4 squared. That means it gets the same portal axles, dual shocks at each corner, and high-performance brakes. Hardcore off-roaders will know portal axles afford an insane amount of ground clearance. They are designed with the axle shaft mating to a gear hub above the center point of the wheel. This hub assembly then uses more gears to direct power downward, then into the wheel hub. Essentially, this allowed the axles to ride higher than the center point of the wheels, giving far more ground clearance than conventional systems. And like all other G-Wagons, the G650 Landaulet comes equipped with 3 locking differentials: the front differential, the rear differential, and the center differential, otherwise known as the transfer case. With all 3 locked, power is evenly distributed to all 4 wheels, all the time. Pricing. Mercedes-Maybach has not released pricing for the 2017 G650 Landaulet. Obviously it will be laughably expensive, especially considering only 99 examples will be built. Considering Mercedes charges $256,200 for the G500 4x4 we'd expect the Maybach version to start around $350,000 to $500,000. Needless to say, don't expect to see one parked at your neighborhood Whole Foods unless you live in Beverly Hills or Dubai. Competition. Well, Mercedes has essentially created an entirely new market with its lifted and portal axle-equipped G-Wagons, so it's nearly impossible to line up a legitimate competitors. So in this case, we'll just compare the different variants of the G-Wagon. Mercedes Amg G500 4x4. The G500 4x4 is basically the Mercedes-Maybach G650 Landaulet without the stretched wheelbase, uber-luxurious interior, and V12 engine. Both share the same portal axles, tall ground clearance, and exterior shape, minus the differences out back. The G500 4x4 is a bit more utilitarian, if you can call it that, thanks to its more manageable wheelbase, standard SUV-like cabin, and somewhat more understated 4.0-liter biturbo V8. What's more, Mercedes hasn't put a limit on how many it will build. That means anybody in the US and around the world with $250,000 plus can write a check and take delivery. Read our full review on the Mercedes-Amg G500 4x4 here. Mercedes-Amg G63 6x6. It's hard to believe the G63 6x6 has been around since 2013, though Mercedes halted production of this 6-wheeled wonder in early 2015. This beast is also the originator of Mercedes' obsession with portal axles on its G-Wagon, and is the father to both the G500 4x4 and G650 Landaulet. The 6x6 is based on the standard G-Wagon, but gets a sizable increase in frame length to accommodate the rearmost axle. A truck bed is added and the cab closed off behind the second-row seats. A chrome roll bar helps fortify the 6x6's masculine appearance, too. The 6x6 came powered by Mercedes' 5.5-liter biturbo V8, which made 536 horsepower and 561 pound-feet of torque. The same 7-speed automatic and full-time 4WD system as in the newer models underpinned the 6x6. Read our full review on the Mercedes-Amg G63 6x6 here. Conclusion. Mercedes keeps upping the ante with its G-Wagon. It makes sense though, as these models sell rather well while paying tribute to the current G-Wagon's last few years. Mercedes is deep into preparing its next-generation G-Wagon. It's rumored to be wider and more comfortable inside, while still maintaining a high level of off-road capabilities. It's yet to be seen if Mercedes will continue the G500 4x4 or G650 Landaulet into the next generation, but considering the amount of press and attention these models bring, it would be a dumb decision not to. So, what do you think? If you had the cash, would you get the G650 Landaulet? Is the idea worthy of the Mercedes-Maybach name? Would you really want a convertible off-roader that couldn't be hosed out like a Jeep Wrangler? Let us know in the comments below. Love it. Insane luxury meets off-road capability. Twin-turbo V12 power. Portal axles and power reclining rear seats. Leave it. It costs how much? Limited to 99 examples.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.